So Mode reached out to me to check out their newest addition to their lineup, the Mode Tempo. It's a symmetrical 60%, only comes in HHKB layout, utilizes Mode's lattice block mount system, and similar to the Envoy, I think it punches well above its weight class. If you're not familiar with the HHKB layout, the control key is shifted to your caps lock key, but the Tempo does give you the option between a full backspace or a split backspace. And I'm personally excited for this board because in a short while I am parting ways with my heavy grail. So a small side quest for me is to see if I can try to recreate something similar. But getting to the unboxing, we have the compact carrying case, and a really neat touch is that all the accessories are organized, which is sick, and makes the overall build experience just a bit more streamlined. There is also included foam with my kit, but I'm personally not going to use it. And after taking the board out, I have to say the aesthetics of the Tempo is just timeless. I'm a super big fan of seamless case designs, and this board is no different. From the top profile, we have tightly fitted corners all throughout, and the traditional Mode brand accent piece that wraps around to the entire backside. I opted for the walnut finish with the green case, since apparently that's my office aesthetic now, and I have to say I am not disappointed. Flipping over to the bottom side, we have these sides that are slightly sloped and accented by the huge copper weight, and a newer design to the integrated silicone feet, as they've opted to model it after a vintage ribbon mic instead of the dots on the Envoy. Overall, I have to say I love the newer design route that Mode is opting for, as it's very much function and form. If you're curious as to the various fits and finishes that Mode offers, they have probably the best visual configurator out there on their website that I would recommend playing around with to find a combination that sparks joy. Getting to the build process, similar to the Envoy, we have two different types of lattice block mounts to choose from. The solid block, which will give a slightly stiffer typing experience, and the lattice block, giving a more flexible feel. And compared to the Envoy, both of these have been refined and are slightly larger too. So for the first build, I'm going to opt for the lattice blocks, palm plate, Obscura switches, and the Mode Tomorrow keycaps, and we'll take it from there. Feel-wise, the Tempo is very reminiscent of government mount boards, especially with the lattice blocks. It's a very soft typing experience. It's not bouncy, where it feels like each key press reverberates through the board like a trampoline, but more of like an ever so slight amount of give, where it's not tiring to type on for a prolonged period of time. Personally, I prefer the feel of the lattice blocks compared to the solid blocks, but that's just because I simply prefer the sound profile and the softer typing experience. But other than that, with the Obscuras in here, it's quite a higher pitched sounding board, so if you don't want something super clacky, I might recommend like a deeper full sounding switch. So I'm gonna throw in my Husky BCPs and we'll take it from there. Okay, so I ended up just trying a bunch of different builds in here. Husky BCPs, BSUN BCPs, WS Silence for shits and giggles, and finally the Milky topped Geon blacks. And I have to say, the sound profile wise, the Tempo's pretty strong. The alphas sound quite full, the spacebar is nice and vibrant without being overpowering, and it seems pretty well tuned. Like I said before, this board does tend to lean towards the higher end of the sound spectrum, and definitely long pulls would be my recommendation for your build. However, I do have to say, be very careful when it comes to screwing down the fasteners. If you tighten them down all the way, you do introduce quite a bit of hollowness as it impacts the preload of the mounting blocks. So I'd recommend screwing it down tight and then backing it out by like a half to full turn. Another thing I do want to touch on, and I'm sure you've heard this before from watching any video on the Envoy, or I guess any board with a ball latch system, is just how dumb, easy, and fast it is to swap builds out. On the Tempo and Envoy, literally 2 screws and the whole thing comes out. Even as someone who enjoys the overall build process, having to deal with a bunch of screws can be really annoying. And especially in this instance, where I'm doing a bunch of different configurations, the ease of assembly is just coming in clutch. So overall, for the starting price of $259, the Mode Tempo is an absurd price to perceive value. The inoffensive and timeless aesthetic, strong typing feel, higher pitched acoustics, and ease of assembly make it a pretty easy recommendation for those who maybe want to get their feet wet in the HHKB layout without having to burn their wallets. I know not having the control key on the bottom row can be quite a shift, but if you're willing to break a small typing habit, I think you'd be more than satisfied with what Mode has to offer. The pre-order for the Tempo will start today, and I'll have all the links down in the description. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Take care, and have a good one.